Hey, Bo. Wow.
Summers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She'll be here shortly. She got stuck in traffic. So.
Okay.
And I think she's here.
Oh.
Ha ha! Look at that. As soon as we say it, what's going on? I just said, and Heather's stuck in traffic. Oh my! What do you got now?
We just had two.
Oh,
no, not like this.
Wow.
Wait till you open these up.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
She got more. Oh,
Fresh eggs.
at least from your farm,
Are
from
you
your.
kidding?
They are.
Thank you.
Yes.
So look at this. Heather is with the Summers sticker on it and everything. Here, Paul, put it up for the camera.
Because it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
That's kind of cool.
So how are you guys?
Good. How are you? Look at these.
I'm good.
Oh, look at these eggs.
Now they're not washed because
Oh.
you can leave them out on your counter for if you don't wash them. If you wash them, you got to put them in your fridge.
Really?
Yes.
That's the deal with them?
Yep. They have some kind of special coating, and I thought I would bring you. Look at these. Ready? These are actually pieces of artwork. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh my goodness.
Look at those. So we have, this is the spell book. This is the vegan Lucifer.
Let's do it. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so we have the spell book. This is the vegan Lucifer. This is the broomstick, the poison apple, the frog, and the witch.
Wow. Those are cool.
The frog looks like a frog.
It does look like a frog.
It does. Aren't those
my
awesome?
God.
Wow, those are nice. Those are
Aren't they like pieces of artwork? They really are.
Yeah.
So,
Well, thank you.
But the best part is I took a picture of this sign for you because I thought it would make you laugh. Because the name of it is Deviant Donuts, because you can see.
Yep.
But the sign on their deck is hilarious. Would you like to see it? Isn't that funny?
That's funny.
I gotta get a picture of these two.
Yes.
I don't want to eat them.
I've had them before and they're delicious.
I can imagine.
They make them fresh every day. So this is this place in Mystic Village. It's amazing.
What's
Yeah.
in the village?
Yeah.
Yes. And
Oh my goodness.
it's just, I mean, they really are like artwork. I was in there and the girl was putting together the graham crackers and stuff. So you can have one or bring them home to your kids, family.
Oh no, they won't get them.
No, or
the kids won't
hide
get
them,
them.
covet
Yeah.
them. You can actually auction them off. Maybe,
I'll as soon as I show Melissa these, she'll be uh-oh.
I thought it was funny that Lucifer's a vegan,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought that. So
I wouldn't either. As a matter of fact, there was a thing up at Salem, Mass, something about the god of the underworld right now, and you can't go into his house unless you're wearing a mask in Salem.
Like a mask or like
No,
a surgical
mask. Who knew that the god of the underworld was immune compromised? But apparently,
yeah, I would think if you're in the underworld, you're not worried about
No.
viruses, etc. So how are you guys? This is some
good.
beautiful digs here, huh?
It's a work in progress. I mean, we still have things to do up. Like we're gonna put like noise dampening stuff on the walls. That right there is gonna.
Is that the green screen?
It's gonna be.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the end of it. Yeah. It's got to get sanded and.
Mm-hmm.
See this desk that
Yeah.
we're on used to be on that wall.
Is that why the white spot's there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where it was attached.
Got
So
it.
we moved it over here, and that just has to get repainted.
It's
So
kind of a good setup. I like this. Do you like it?
I love it. I absolutely love it here.
Mhm.
So I mean, the funny thing is that when I walked in here for the first time and saw this setup, I'm like, this is exactly where I need to be
Mhm.
because like I can take like we have a
We have
camera
a lot of
here.
room here too.
Exactly. Exactly. I didn't have that much room over there.
No, you seem like you were squished in this little like.
If I was going around the table, I
Yeah.
had to suck it in. I couldn't, I mean, whatever. Every year I had to suck it in a little more. So,
And after these babies, really suck it in,
Jesus,
right?
I'll have to go under the table for crying out loud.
So
But so
So-
now we can put a camera and just flip it right around and do content. So we're going to have some stuff over there,
great idea.
and to be able to have like a more intimate kind of conversation.
It's like the
type
view
of-
from it.
Kinda,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, a little different than the view.
A little,
but,
yeah.
Right. But yeah, it's like a intimate conversation over there. You can interview somebody on whatever the
Yep.
issues are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be cool. I
Yeah,
think it'll be
it's
real cool.
awesome.
It'll give it a different look.
Yeah,
So-
it's nice and clean. You're right in the middle of town. I mean, you were in the
Smack
middle of
dab
town
in the
too
middle.
before, but like you're right here.
Yeah, we're really in the
I
middle
loved
now.
when I pulled up. It kept saying, "You've arrived. You've arrived. You've arrived." I'm like, "Yeah, Mike's arrived, man."
It's about damn time.
So how are things? What's going on?
Good,
All
good.
kinds of stuff, huh?
Yeah, we moved here, obviously.
Moving is not fun.
It's not,
Mhm.
but it worked out.
Good.
I was really pleased with
Did
how
you have
everything-
a group to help you move all your equipment and everything?
Had a
or did you
couple
do that all
people.
that by yourself. It's a lot.
Most of it was myself. But
Yeah.
Did you purge as you moved?
I did.
Yeah, that's a
Purge.
very yes.
Ha!
Yeah, it's
Purge.
managing how much stuff you accumulate, isn't
Oh,
it?
did he accumulate?
Well, you know what happened is over 6 years in that on the other building, I just became a pack rat because it was
Well, you had like this
space.
to just store. Yeah, I'm moving my parents into an accessory dwelling on my property, so because
Oh,
they're
okay.
older and trying to. I'm like, Mom, no one wants those dishes. Like, she's like, I'll pack them up. You can put them in your barn. I'm like, yeah, no, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
Or yeah, the stuff you accumulate over years.
She doesn't. Are they like decorative dishes?
It's just tchotchkes, you know. And I'm like, let's wrap them up. I'm like, nobody wants them. My kids don't want them. Her grandkids don't want them.
I know
But we're
somebody
gonna
that
save
would.
them. Really?
Oh, okay.
I'm looking for a home.
Well, do you know who I'm talking about?
No.
All right. So there's a lady that works at, and I don't even know if these are
Donate them someplace. I mean, it's not just
Myra.
That.
There's
It's
a lady named Myra.
everything.
She what she does is she finds old, plates and dishes and stuff like that, and
Mhm.
smashes them, and
Okay.
then makes birdhouses out of them.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, we'll save the dishes then. I'm like, can anybody? We need a home.
she can use them.
Mhm.
I mean, she always can. I'll reach out to her.
Okay. You know,
You
they're
know.
nice dishes. It's just like, how many more dishes can you have?
I know.
You
no.
know, like, and I'm like, they're like the dishes downstairs that are packed away. So it's just packing and moving and purging. No fun.
So is this like a donut? Can we just take a bite out of
That's
this?
the incredible edible egg, right?
Just remember. Just remember.
Actually, these are from my black chicks, and those are from my Easter eggers.
Oh, just remember.
What's the difference?
Before you bite into that egg, where they came out of. They haven't been washed.
No, see, I learned that as my chicken farmer.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I
so
didn't
there's
know that
some
at
kind
all.
of special coating, so you can leave those on your counter.
Really?
Really?
And they don't go bad, but once you wash them, then you have to put them in the fridge.
Wow.
And you
I had no
will.
idea.
They're delicious. My chickens eat well.
Those are weight in gold. I mean, you can't buy eggs.
Mhm.
Eggs are tough to find.
I know.
We're egg-tastic at the Summers house. We have a lot of eggs.
How many chickens do you have now?
I can't say in the air because I probably have more than I'm supposed to.
Okay.
by
So
zoning
how many are you
law.
supposed to have? How
I'm
many?
supposed to have 6.
So you have 6 chickens at
I
the
do, and
Summers
they
house.
lay
That's it.
18 eggs a day.
Do they?
That's a lot of eggs. Wow.
I lay about 18 here every day.
So no, it's a lot of fun. They're awesome. You know,
Oh.
we were laughing. We're like, you eat mosquitoes and ticks, and we get eggs. So,
There we go. They just said we can't see Heather.
oh, that's okay. I'm
Now
all
you're
pinked
there.
out. I wore my pink bling for you this
Yeah.
morning.
Yeah, you even got a nice chair to sit on.
I know these are fancy.
Look at that fancy cowboy boots.
Yes, I wear those because it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. See,
Look at those.
Oh, check that out.
that would be sparkly on
Those
this
are
on this
some-
gloomy day.
Those are some
Whoa.
shit kickers right there.
The ones that-
Actually, I
Whoa.
bought these because I was going to wear these to Jared's wedding,
Oh.
but it didn't quite go with the outfit. So
Well, I'll say one thing: you
my
can, kill,
husband's like, "You're not wearing cowboy boots that are sparkly to Jared's wedding."
you can kill a cockroach in the corner with those.
You could, yes, yes. And
So-
anyhow,
So Victoria Robinson Lewis says hello, Heather,
hello.
and then she says, "Way to show me up, deviant donuts, and I bring dunks."
It's only because I had to drive right by there, and I'm supposed to be supporting Mystic. So, Dunkin' Donuts are awesome too. I love Dunkin' Donuts.
Yep.
But it's Halloween, so we thought we'd be a little extra deviant.
And
So
then,
is that in the village itself or the Mystic Village outside of?
It's right in Old Mystic Village.
Oh, really?
You know the shopping.
Yeah.
So and it's really easy to get to, which is why I like it too. So if you pull in, if you know where Mangoes is,
I know the blue squid is.
Yeah.
okay, it's like on the opposite side of
Oh,
the Blue
okay.
Squids.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
Oh.
So you can literally park and you walk, and it's not like in the middle. It's like close to the edge, so you can park and walk and get in and out. But they usually have a line, and this morning it was kind of rainy, so
nobody was there.
Nobody was there, but
Wow.
you can see the it seems like it's all young women that are working there, but they must get there like really early because they do all this by hand. It's pretty amazing.
It takes a while to do it.
And when I was leaving, they were bringing out some that looked like turkeys. They were all fluffy
cool.
and it's really fun. The kids love it because they're like, oh my God, I want that one.
That's
so
cool.
They're really, really, really well done.
How are you doing with your campaign? This is your third term you're seeking, right?
This is my fourth.
Fourth?
Yeah.
Okay, so I lied. I thought it was third, but God, have we been around that long now? Because we've been around since. Yeah.
I was thinking about that the other day. Yes, it's it seems to be going well. There's we've been knocking doors. I've been doing some areas up north in Grisp, trying to do sort of the areas that are more like neighborhoods because it's easier to do. Knocking on doors, talking about the message. But I think the Republicans in Connecticut have a good message. There's a lot of stuff going on that is not really beneficial for the Democrats right now. We have sky high gas prices in the state of Connecticut. Inflation, this is actually across the nation, is high. But I think one of the biggest things that we have is, there's a surge in the crime rate. Now, the Democrats will tell you, okay, crime's down, but the violent crimes, the murders, the rapes, those are not down, those are up. And the only reason the other ones are down is because of the police accountability bill. Our police are not pulling people over, right? So they're not.
That's very true. Yeah.
They're not catching people speeding and all that kind of stuff because they're not pulling them over. And we really have to do something to change that police accountability bill because people are shocked when they learn the details. If you are pulled over by a police officer, and let's say they suspect something, they used to be able to say, "Can I search your car?" And the person,
they can't now.
They can't even ask that question. So my big thing is, what if you were a passenger or like a woman held against your will? That the officer can't say, "Are you okay, ma'am?"
They can't even say that.
They can't even say that. They can't ask. So, there's a lot of stuff that goes along with that bill. There was some good things that actually our police were already doing that they've codified in the legislature and in the law, but there's a lot of stuff that has unintended consequences. And I can say I represent 8 towns. I have 1 police chief left. The rest have all left and they've been replaced, but they all got out and police officers too. I mean, did you guys see, of course, the tragedy in Bristol?
Yeah.
I mean, those were young guys, 35. The 26 years old that was released, and being lured to a location.
That's
scary.
That is really scary and sick. And so how do we attract people to go into law enforcement? We've made it so difficult. So I think those are things that people they're sick of. They're sick of. And it's just, unfortunately, those particular bills that have made a significant difference, they fell on party lines. And, it's interesting to hear some of the people that are running for office because I'm like, wow, you sound like me. But when you get up there, you're going to be casting a vote for the other side because that's just the way it works. So I think that the message of trying to help people, trying to make Connecticut more affordable, because we all know it's not. I mean, I don't know. I just got my oil tank filled up, and my husband's like,
it's
okay,
$5 a gallon again.
I paid $5.27. And I happened to buy it. I needed it on the day that it just went up by 40 cents. And I mean, that was like a mortgage payment.
Oh, yeah.
If not more. So I don't know, how people are going to do it. I've talked to, families that actually live up here. One particular family, they always go to Costco to buy their food. And they said their food bill's gone from, they have 4 boys, but their food bill's gone from about $450 a week to almost $700 a week. And that's a week.
Yeah.
She's got growing boys. They eat a lot,
Yeah.
So I think a change in leadership, at least in the makeup of the legislature, would really go a long way. There's some things that we can do to help reduce costs for people tomorrow. We just need enough people to be able to do it.
So what do we do? I mean, with oil prices, going through the literal roof, gas prices jumping.
They're going back up again.
30 cents a day. We were talking about it yesterday. Victoria, who comes in, here now. Victoria Lewis.
Victoria, the Dunkin' Donuts lady?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you showed her up. The
Dunkin'. They're awesome.
she yeah, we got dunked today.
I know, there's nothing better than a Dunkin' Donuts coffee.
The what was I saying?
You were talking about gas prices.
Oh, gas prices. They used to go up a penny.
Right, but
2
not
pennies.
like 40 cents overnight.
I know.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy. Like we were down to I had bought it I don't know 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago at $2.99.
Wow.
And I was feeling good,
right?
thinking, all right, maybe
under $3.
Right, maybe something's going to break,
No. Well, I think it's, this going to the voting booth this November is not just a referendum on what's happening here in Connecticut, but it's a referendum on what's happening nationwide, right? Yeah. Our borders aren't secure, staggering gas prices. It looks like we're on the verge of World War III with Russia. I mean, it's just crazy. There's no control there. Our borders are not secure. And, we have staggering inflation. And then on one hand, you'll hear Biden say, oh, there's no inflation. I'm like, well, then why did we pass the anti-inflation bill then? So I think that people have to go and have their voices be heard because things have got to change. And we could take 10% off your electric bills tomorrow because we have all these, I call them policy taxes that are added to your electric bill. Yep. We just need the numbers to be able to take that off. And 10% on somebody's electric bill, if you're paying $300 a month, that is $30 that you can put in your pocket. And those are, little changes like that can add significant amount of
dollars. It's like that family you're talking about can put that towards their food bill that has gone up 25%.
Yep, that could happen. I mean, there are other things. We could reduce the gas tax. We can reduce the gas on diesel. That's something that we had proposed. And it has just gone on deaf ears. I think we also need to help our farmers and our fishermen. Our farmers their input costs are up 169% because everything they do is petroleum based, fertilizer, pots, the whole thing. And many of them are literally dying on the vine. I know that sounds ridiculous, but they can't do it. They, they use diesel in their tractors, etc. But our legislature and the majority is so tone deaf. You know what one of their bills is? To make diesel trucks illegal in the state of Connecticut, to not allow them to be sold in 2024. I'm like, okay.
Are they nuts?
Because they want to electrify Connecticut. They want everything. I'm like, you realize if everyone had an electric car, you plug it in, there's not enough energy on the grid, right? Look what's happening in California, but they want to follow everything there. So I think there's two really different mindsets and philosophies that are, people that will go to Hartford. And I just do believe we need to diversify our energy, but you can't go from like one extreme to the other overnight.
Right.
The technology is not there, and we can slowly and incrementally do it, but it's a tough sell. And if you say that, they're like, oh, you hate the environment. I love the environment. I love that we have a beautiful forest and clean place to live, just like everyone else does. But you can't cripple your economy and make everybody, suffer in what we're doing to get there. And, the other thing is our governor has signed up for this greenhouse gas initiative, which is supposed to help, reduce carbon emissions, which sounds like a laudable goal. But whatever we reduce is just floating over from New York and New Jersey because we're in the prevailing wind. So what are we going to cripple Connecticut for the betterment of what overall? And because he signed that agreement, Connecticut has less oil reserves because they want you to reduce your fossil fuels. So you have less reserves, and he would have to get permission to be able to fill those reserves to where they should be. So we have less reserves. Look what happened when he asked Saudi Arabia to get more oil. They were like, yeah, see ya, we're going to actually make less, right? Yeah. Thanks for asking, but we're not going to play. Yeah. And, it's going to be cold here. So those are all these things together. And I'm really concerned about, the people in my district and actually across Connecticut for this winter. Like there has to be a reality check of what's really happening and how it's impacting people. And, a lot of the people making the decisions, they're not people that are struggling or have to worry. So
people out of touch.
Yes, tone deaf.
Court Kinney, who's one of our local farmers, as a matter of fact, just said, eliminate the tax on diesel.
Yep.
The economy runs on diesel.
100%. That was something that we had proposed. Our caucus proposed that way back in June. Let's get rid of it. And it has not gotten anywhere because the governor refuses to do it.
So why have they eliminated, or at least they've deferred the gas tax until the end of the year?
But they won't touch diesel.
But right. And supposedly I hear there's rumblings that they may even extend that.
They may. It'll depend on how the wind is blowing that day.
Exactly. But diesel, they won't touch.
Well, they want to.
It's because that's the cash cow.
No, well, part of it, like, so then we talk about our reserves for the special transportation fund, all
Yeah,
that tax, which is the more expensive it is, the more money you're making. It's going into our special transportation fund, unless, of course, they don't ever put it in and spend it on something else. But they don't want diesel being used. Clearly, that whole bill on we want to reduce the number of diesel trucks. You're not going to be able to buy a diesel. That was one bill that's initiative. We have data centers that I know that Griswold's interested in, and they need backup power in case the lights go off, right?
Where's that going to run on?
That has to run on
Diesel
generator. They want to kill data centers because of the diesel. Now, these generators are the cleanest ones available on the market. Yeah. But you're right. He's absolutely right. The world runs on diesel, and Connecticut and our governor and our DEEP commissioner don't want any diesel. They actually don't want you to have a fireplace either because of the emissions from that.
Well,
so I can't burn
I heard
wood.
about the wood stoves, about the emissions coming out.
So we'll just all freeze because that'll, it's just, there's no common sense included with the policy. So we need to change that.
So let's jump into like the conversation about the data centers really quick.
Okay, sure.
So you did a lot of work.
I did.
Over the last few years, when it comes to the possibility of changing the language, or you got the language changed, right?
Yes. So that data center bill, all it did really was allow for the landscape for data centers to come to Connecticut, and it's up to the towns if they want to have them or not. They don't have to have them. They can choose to not have them,
right? But
it provides the opportunity, especially in Eastern Connecticut, where we have these municipal electric cooperatives, because they can provide, I think you work for the utility company, right? Long-term power agreements.
I see it there.
At reduced price. So those are more attractive for the data centers. But if the towns don't want them, they can say no, because one of the key parts of the legislation said you have to have an agreement with the town, what you're going to pay the town, what you're going to provide to the town, or else the town can say no. So the control is local. But the bill allowed for them to have an opportunity to be here. So if a town doesn't want it, you don't have to have it. That's completely fine. But you have an opportunity to make that decision. And before that bill was passed, there was no chance of you even having an opportunity for that. So that's basically it. And I'm not intimately involved with like the developer and talking to each thing. I know that there's
municipality
some right. There's some things going down in Wallingford, Connecticut. There was an opportunity in Groton. The council was not informed properly. They did not do their homework. They spewed a lot of misinformation out, and there was a group of people that were against it. So they just put a moratorium. We're going to hold for a year, and we're going to see what happens. But I will say I was really, to me, I was embarrassed the way that the council treated the developer. I don't care whether you like the developer or not. You still treat people cordially and with respect, because that sets the tone. Right. If Groton treats a developer in a way that I think is unprofessional, what other developer is ever going to want to come and bring an opportunity? And it sort of sends shockwaves, like we're not going there. So I do understand that they are talking to your first selectman. I don't know where that stands right now, but again, that would be something that
neither do we.
I want to know what's going on with the senior center. I worked so hard on that.
Speaking of which,
on that,
I heard a rumor that Heather Summers was here, and I just
oh, look what we have for you. No, you don't know. Everybody in that legislature was like, yeah, we know about the senior center. So now we get the money. We're supposed to open in August. Talking about freezing seniors.
Don't be giving away my donuts.
I just wanted to show you. Do you want to be deviant?
I
Look
saw
at those. Aren't they
boy,
pretty?
I'll say something.
And there's no calories in them.
None.
That's what they told me.
Zero.
I believe you. No, and this wasn't expected, but I
Hey, how are
heard at Jewett City Greenhouse that Heather Summers was here today.
Yeah.
And
I gotta go over there.
I just wanted to say hello.
Hi, how are you? I haven't seen you or talked to you in forever.
I know.
I've been waiting for like the big opening, but it's like Godot. I keep asking, but he never shows up. I don't know. I have to call the first selectman and find out what's going on. Because I have people calling me.
We don't have a date yet on move-in.
What else has to be done? Because I have mostly seniors, calling me directly saying, blaming me, going, what's going on? I'm like, I worked my rear off to get you guys the money. Let's just get this thing across the finish line here.
Well, the building is complete. with the exception of a couple of, we have to have a railing in the back, off the back deck, which the materials are going to be coming in supposedly mid-October, and a couple of other things. But we did have our final inspection. I think it was almost 3 weeks ago, and we got a temporary certificate of occupancy.
That's great.
It is great.
So are
And,
you guys moving in, or what's going on with that?
I just received the clearance, the approval to start moving things in at the end of last week.
Great.
So we're going to start coordinating that, but it's going to be a long window because the logistics of everything in
Yeah.
terms of the Meals on Wheels, TVCCA, planning.
I was
looking out
just
a
with
month.
TVCCA last week, and
Yeah.
the Operation Fuel,
Yes.
and they were also asking. I'm like, I don't know. I gotta
Everybody,
call
yeah,
and
and
find out
TVC,
what's going on.
yeah, and the Meals on Wheels, the nutrition program, they're really anxious because then we have to decide, which refrigerator, which freezer, who takes what. We've got to get Breeze Line up there, so there's a lot of work to do.
hmm
And then in putting together even the invitation list for like the dignitaries and that, you have to have a 30-day window to invite.
Yeah.
Say for example, the
Mhm.
governor's office and that. So they're
Although it is election season, so I'm sure he would come, right?
yeah.
Before
So
it's November.
we're
8th.
getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah.
East of the river, yeah.
But
sure.
and I really am not going to stay because this wasn't planned. But I did
Nice
want
to
say
see you. I haven't seen you or talked to you in forever. I'm glad things
know.
are going well. I'd love
Yeah.
to stop by sometime and
absolutely,
see how things go.
absolutely, we'd love to have you.
That
And
would
the
be great.
donuts are awesome.
Aren't they pretty?
Enjoy them, Mike.
Wait a minute, hold
I
on.
just wanna
Don't
know
make.
if
Did
you
you see the
kiss this,
glare
is
she
that gonna
gave
turn
me?
into something?
She goes, enjoy them, Mike.
You're not sharing them.
Huh?
They are crazy.
Can I show you this funny sign though? This just cracks me up. I
Oh, from
don't know
Deviant
why
Donuts.
it's just hilarious. I think it says
Where is this place?
it's in Old
Mystic.
Mystic Village.
No kidding.
It's so funny if I can find it.
It's beautiful.
Aren't they pretty? They're like pieces of artwork.
They are.
And I'm like, I'd love to go there for a day and learn how to do this. Well, actually, how can I not find I texted it to you, didn't I?
No, I
can't
took a
find
picture
it.
of it.
Oh, you did? It's
Yeah.
really funny. It says, can you show it to her?
Yeah.
I have like
I don't want to
50
take up your time here.
No, it's
No,
really
You're
funny.
talking
It's
about
just,
important things.
no,
Well,
it's just
you know what? We're also talking about things that are important to Griswold.
Yes.
And the senior center is very important to Griswold. And it
Trust
always
me, I get
has
those
been.
calls all the time.
Right,
It is very,
right.
very important.
So
I think they're getting a little frustrated with me because
Oh,
I
shit. I
don't
didn't.
know if they feel that I don't know.
Don't have it.
I just don't know what to tell them, and there's no concrete answer for anything. So
Well, hopefully we can get that place opened and get it nailed down.
I'm
soon.
sure
There you
we
go.
will.
Isn't that funny? It's Deviant Donuts, so it's for Deviant customers only.
that is
Isn't that
funny.
cute?
Yeah. So we'll get there, and I'll certainly keep everybody posted.
Well, I hope they have a big celebration when they do get to move in, because I know it's been a long haul for them.
Yeah, we are. I think it's going to be a wonderful grand opening.
Mhm.
I know that we have had a private donor for the caterer.
Oh,
And
awesome.
so yeah, it's going to be a big event. Long time coming. So,
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
That'll be a great day for Griswold for sure.
absolutely.
Well, good to see you.
Thank you. It's good to
All
see
right.
you too.
We'll talk to you
Bye,
soon.
Mike. Thank you.
Bye.
See you later.
Isn't this fancy in here? The leather chair.
I love.
I love
I
this.
love
It's nice
this.
and clean.
Yeah.
Not that the other place wasn't
Good.
clean.
Have
But
a good weekend.
you too. Bye.
So Dean just sent me Dean Rubino just sent me a text. Do you have internet? Yeah. I don't know.
Does that mean they're deviant? Their deviant is out. Oh my
They're
god.
deviant.
Internet. I have that word on my mind. Who
I
do
don't
you,
know what he's talking about.
Maybe lost
No, maybe I'm looking at the feeds there. It's
Maybe he
fine.
lost it.
Don't know.
So how is are you still as busy as ever now in your new location?
There's it's busier than ever because we've ramped up with sports and stuff,
I
and we've
noticed
done a
that,
few
yeah.
other things that are happening. Like I don't know if I told you, we're
Advertising.
streaming funerals.
You are not.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I feel like I'm in Wedding Crashers.
No.
That's an interesting idea. So
It
you're doing
started
that
during the
for people,
pandemic.
for COVID, they can still participate, but they don't actually have to travel to the funeral. So
Exactly.
Yeah, it's
That's
been dead lately.
oh
Wow.
yes. Ding ding ding. Okay. Woo. That's That's interesting because I actually my aunt just passed away recently. That was the day
Oh,
where
sorry.
it's okay.
Yeah.
She was sick and it was probably a blessing.
No.
But that was the day that, of course, I couldn't call David Collins back. So he said, oh, by the way, she can't be bothered to call me back. He doesn't understand that people actually
Sweet.
have lives.
Yeah.
But it was a trek because I obviously wanted to bring my parents because it, their sister. And just getting like the 88-year-olds in the car
That's
on
tough.
the
Yeah.
ferry, it wiped them out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they don't want to miss it. So, having that as an option is a really interesting idea.
Yes, it is.
Because a lot of people can't travel.
They can't.
Number one, and it wasn't even my idea. It was a call that we got from Denoto
Oh,
in
I know
Mystic,
them
yeah.
down in Mystic.
and
Plus in Mystic, forget it. You have to park in Old Saybrook to get to a funeral because there's no parking. So are you doing the wakes also or just the funeral itself?
that's up to the family.
Mm-hmm.
That's up to the family.
That's a nice option to provide for families.
We did. There was a young man that passed away in Uganda.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a Colchester resident, and they brought him back, and we ended up streaming it so all the people in Uganda could watch it.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
Not
I mean,
something that I would have thought of, but it's in this world.
yeah, I know, who would have thought, I
Right.
mean, but they're like weddings too. I mean, like there are a lot
I
of
have
people.
heard about like weddings, but just how nice would it be for somebody, even if let's say that they're homebound or they're, in a facility and they want to
Yeah.
see their friend or they want to be part of it and be able to say their personal goodbye.
Well, we did-
that is nice.
Not only that, but we did a renewal of vows with one couple
Mhm.
for their 40th, and really the only reason why they streamed it is because both their parents are still with us,
Right. But are
but
they both like
Florida and Buffalo,
right?
so they couldn't make it. They weren't going to be able to make it.
I kind
So
of like that idea. It's
That's
very
good,
interesting.
yeah,
The wedding thing is interesting too. I never
Yes.
really thought about that.
Yeah.
It's amazing how many things came to light.
during the
During COVID,
pandemic,
right.
yeah.
Actually, one of the things that we've learned just recently, some of the labor statistics is Connecticut is the 5th highest state of people working from home in the
Huh.
nation. Because, partly probably came out of the pandemic, but many people, worked from home and they're going to continue to work from home. I don't like working from home personally because I feel like you can't separate like your life from your work anymore. It all
I
kind
have
of
a hard
morphs
time.
in. And I have, I'm trying to talk while I'm cleaning up after somebody. And it feels like you end up just working all the time. And there's no, like, some people have their own set office in their house. They can go in and shut the door. We don't have that kind of space. So it just kind of morphs into everything.
I know when the pandemic started and we were all supposed to stay home or whatever for 2 days, I worked at home, and I'm not that disciplined.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. So
I had to get out.
I know I'm not used to being home all the time.
Yeah.
I did it 3 days
Yeah.
a week, and come Thursday, Friday, I had to get out. I couldn't take it anymore.
were you still working at that point?
Yes.
You were
No,
still-
during the pandemic, no.
No,
Mhm.
okay.
But I understand, like, if you're used to being out,
You
and
could come in here though.
yeah.
Come to the station. You did, yeah.
And I know, I had talked to some young people about like working at home, and they had said, which is kind of interesting, I never really thought about it. They said, at first it sounds great, right? I can be working in my pajamas and
Yeah,
from my
I
computer,
get
Sure, yeah.
but they're like, but I'm not meeting young people. And I remembered like when I was young, going to work, that's where you kind of met new friends and
yeah,
you'd go
sure, yeah,
out and you
yeah.
like, they miss that. It's very isolating for some
I
folks. They
hated
said,
it.
yeah,
I hated
can
it.
see that.
For 2 days, I couldn't do it. And the weird thing is, Heather, is that up at the old building, there was nobody around anyway. So it really was still kind of isolated.
Yeah, it
but
was.
still,
You
you
know,
were like out,
Yeah.
I wasn't home.
you weren't.
Yeah,
cooped.
it was just.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
Okay, my dogs loved it. Yeah, they're like, oh my god, she's home. This is awesome. But
So what would you say? Let's get into the race.
sure.
What's your big platform right now that you're running on? For this election.
Well, I think the big platform is number one. I have the experience. I've been there for 6 years, and I have a track record of being able to deliver results for the district. Whether it's money for schools, money for your dam, money for your senior center, working with the business community, with the police, and being able to decipher what their needs are and make sure that the bills that we pass don't impede that. One of the biggest things we do is fight off really negative legislation that
Yeah.
will hurt people. And legislators always feel like they have to file all these bills. When I file a bill, it's intentional, it's thought out, it's for a particular reason. It's not just to do it. And they don't understand that there's an unintended consequences to filing all these bills. We put mandates on our school system, so they have to teach this, they have to teach that, they have to teach that. Like, can we teach math and English and have our kids be proficient? One of the big pushes I have is to do more like we've done in the town of Stonington. I know Griswold has a manufacturing program within the high school. In Stonington, the superintendent worked on this. It's the first of its kind in the state. It's called a PACT program, which is a pre-apprenticeship program for students wanting to go into the home building trades. It's the building trades. So they have a whole program there. You can learn, everything from how to measure properly, how to do building drawings, how to manufacture certain things in the building trades, and you graduate and you can go right into home builders. We're desperate for people. We have a 700,000 person void in the building trades. So bringing that kind of stuff back into the regular high school, so it's not just a tech school, but anybody who goes to Griswold High or Fitch High would have an opportunity to take those classes to see if that's something they want to do. I want to also create a healthcare magnet high school so that someone could go to this high school. It could be within a high school, but if not, a separate healthcare high school, a 4-year high school that would be dedicated to the healthcare providers for occupational health, for biotech. So you could go and you could graduate and you'd have an LPN degree, a CNA, an advanced
Right
degree,
out of high school?
Right out of high school.
Wow.
And we do that. There's one other state that has one. It's the #1 school in the nation. And if you want to go on to college, you can, but you have a leg up. It's totally dedicated to health sciences and the medical field. And I think that's something that we need to provide for our kids. So that's one thing. The other thing is, I think the experience of being able to work with both sides of the aisle in a bipartisan manner is the one thing that I do have the ability to do. That's why we can get the results that we have here. And
you do need both sides.
You have to. Yep. And you have to be able to work with other people. I'm not an extremist on either side. So that, most of us are somewhere in the middle, and you have to have that sort of temperament to be able to get things across the line. And the experience really does matter. You know how to get things done, who to work with. I can tell you an example was right at the end of session. I was talking with the mayor of the city of Groton, who's a Democrat, and he was talking to me about this big problem they have where their sewer line, which is a 24-inch pipe, there is an old road along the river that was about a culvert, and the bridge was going to collapse on the sewer line. And he said, if that comes down and the sewer line breaks, we've got 800,000 gallons of sewage going into the Thames River. It's a $3 million project. We've got to get it done. With the rain and things that we had, it became an emergency situation. So I was able to call the governor's office, get that on the bonding agenda, literally in lightning speed, like 2 weeks, bonded out the door. That doesn't happen if you can't work with people. And, obviously the city was like very grateful, but those are the types of things that you need, I think, in a legislature. And I'm also very dedicated to the communities. I try to do as much outreach and constituent work as possible. And I do this full time now. This is my full-time thing. You really can't dabble in it part-time. There's just not enough. There's not enough bandwidth to be able to do a good job. So I'm hoping.
Bandwidth. Ooh, look at
Do you like that?
that.
Throw that in. Yeah.
Look at that.
So I'm hoping that the voters will see that, and I would be honored to be reelected in the next term and continue the work that we do. I will be taking over the tourism caucus, which is arts, culture, and tourism. I think there's a great opportunity for up north, to be more highly showcased, because there's a lot to offer. People don't know about Pashtag Forest. They don't know about a lot of the things that we have that are more, I would call it ecotourism. And that's really attractive for a lot of young people, but we just need to talk about it a little bit more and get there more engagement. Mystic is great. Obviously, I represent it. It's the #1 tourist destination. But if we get people to Mystic, let's get them here. Let's keep them here and showcase other opportunities that we have besides just Mystic.
Right. Court Kinney, like I said, you commented earlier, one of our area farmers says, "Thank you, Heather, for all the work you have done for Eastern Connecticut. Keep up the great job."
Thank you.
So,
And Court, I will tell you that we have been advocating. I was up at a winery in August pushing the governor. I think that we need a direct subsidy to help our farmers, a direct grant. We have all this ARPA money from the federal government sitting, waiting for it to be spent on things that we don't need, but helping
Yeah.
our farmers is critical. We keep pushing that. And last week I got to harvest grapes at one of our wineries, which was really fun. We should have you come next
I
time
would love
because
to.
it's a
Was
blast.
this Jonathan Edwards? Or
Yes.
Yeah,
And you cut the grapes
I would
and
love to.
you got to kind of weed through the bad ones. And
You know, all I can think of is that old episode of I Love
I
Lucy.
was just going to say
You know,
that.
and she's in the vat.
She's in
and
the vat and she's like, yeah.
stomping them. Yeah.
With the apron on. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But it was a great experience and it's gorgeous, right?
Mhm.
And it really gives you a true like indicator. I think I'm a farmer, but oh my God, you know, it's a lot of work and there's so many things that can go wrong. And they had this wonderful grape season because it was so dry.
She's a
And then we
farmer.
had all the rain.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, the camera's not even on there. Turn the camera off.
Oh yeah. You
There
got to
we
show those eggs.
Yeah.
They're egg-tastic.
There we go. There's the. It's Heather Summers' eggs.
Right. Those came
Her
from
chicken's
cookies and
eggs.
cream. That's the
The
chicken.
chicken's cookies
Yes,
and
they all
cream.
have. Yes, they're all named. And those came from Little Red Riding Hood.
Okay.
She's a redhead.
Okay.
We've got they all have names. It's ridiculous. And somehow we can tell them apart because they all have their own personalities.
Of course.
Yep.
Like any other animal.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Hey, puppies.
Yeah.
The dogs.
yeah, it is. People get creeped out because like if I go like, hey girls, what's going on, chicks? They all like come running over and they're like, you know, if you're not a
Yeah.
chicken bird person, people are like, that's so creepy. But
Let me ask you a question.
sure.
The question is, we noticed that a lot of the ads being done by some of the federal people
Mhm.
claiming that they did all this stuff to reduce medical costs. I mean, drug prescription costs.
Okay.
I thought that doesn't go in until sometime next year.
My medical costs haven't been reduced.
Mine either. They,
Actually, they're going up in state of
Yeah,
Connecticut.
they
The
keep
insurance,
claiming-
insurance costs. I don't know about the other things, but it's election season. They're going to claim that
everybody's claiming prescriptions. Everybody's claiming abortion. Everybody's claiming taxes. Everybody's claiming guns. If you look at all of them
Mhm.
running, they're all claiming the same thing.
on both sides.
Well, both sides.
Yeah.
That's like
You got to
come
weed through.
on.
And then I will tell you on anything that I put out, if I'm claiming like something, I usually try to cite it so it shows you the bill so that people can say, okay, yes, you voted for this. And, you know, drug prescription pricing is such a complicated issue. One of the things that I find it makes it even more complicated is that we have insurance companies that now own these things called PMPs. Those are the middlemen in between that contract all the drugs.
Yeah.
And then they also own the CVSs. So they own everything.
Really?
And it gets diluted on what the cost of the drug really is. Now, if you talk to the actual pharmaceutical companies, one of the things that would level the playing field that no one wants to do, which I have been advocating for, is let's put out the true cost of the drug. I want to know, what is Pfizer selling it to Aetna for?
Mhm.
Because when you get your prescription, you know, let's say your prescription's $100. There's no way Aetna or CVS is paying, you know what I mean?
No.
So
Yeah.
what is Pfizer selling it to them? And many times as the manufacturer, people don't want to believe this because it's easy to blame pharmaceutical companies, but they are charging, let's say $10 for a drug. By the time the middleman and this one gets on it, by the time it gets to you, it's $100, but
Yeah.
it's not Pfizer or whoever making all the money. It's the middle management in
yeah.
between. And I can say that I used to sell a medical product that we would sell for $6. And I wanted to make sure that it was going to be covered by Medicare and somebody could afford it. So it was $6. I don't remember. Our margins were like 40%. And then the middleman, we had to go through distribution because nobody wants to buy from my small company.
Right.
The distributor then adds 30%. By the time it got to the hospital was charging $80 for that $6 product. And then they'll turn around and say, oh, you medical device people are we're not the ones making the money. It's all the people in between. So it's
like
such
Tylenol. You go to the hospital, you get a Tylenol. It's like $40.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
So
true.
it's so much more complicated than just like pharmaceutical company. Now there are drugs that are super expensive because there's not that many of them sold. And I'm not like in pharma's court. I'm just trying to, it's very different. So
Right.
one of the things they do in Europe, because I spent my career over there for, what I did is they have this thing called it's the tariff book. You can look up what everything costs, the cost.
Yeah.
So you would know this drug costs this drug. This is what, if you get your hospital bill and it's $40,000 and you say that your insurance paid $1,200, that $40,000 doesn't exist, right?
Right.
So what's the real cost, and publish it. So, when you go see Dr. Summers, he gets $48 for your visit, even though your bill says he's getting paid $300. He
Yeah.
really gets 48.
Yeah.
And publish it. They don't want to do that.
And I've heard that from a lot of doctors and physicians and stuff like that. They don't get. I mean,
No.
they get basically what the insurance company's going to pay
That's
them.
exactly what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
And then the other thing is, if you're Dr. Summers here and you're Dr. Minarski here and you're in the same field, you can't say, hey, what are you getting for that visit? Because that's considered collusion. So every doctor is paid a different number.
Oh,
And
wow.
that's why you're seeing so many doctors get scooped up by hospitals, because they can't afford to keep their lights on. For every Medicaid patient, Medicare, I mean, I know this for example, like my husband insurance would make him charge $300 for the visit, right? But he's really getting $48 for Medicaid, $62 for Medicare, and then the balance is the people that have insurance. And so, but as you get older, the majority of patients are Medicare and Medicaid, and he's in like sort of the older.
Yep.
It's not
See, like,
enough
now Paul's
to
going
keep,
that,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not enough money to keep the lights on or to keep your medical assistants. So they have to be bought up by a hospital. They have to go work for the hospital.
And that's the other thing that's happened. A lot of the small, little, tiny medical areas now being bought up by the 3 hospitals.
Because
or
they
2
can't
hospitals.
survive.
Yeah.
Right. And so, and then there's the whole requirement that Obama put on that everything has to be like, you have to have this epic medical records. That's a huge expense. We had to try to get those medical records up for our state facilities. It's like a $40 million price tag. So small offices can't afford to do that. So they have to be bought up. And the other thing that's really interesting, I think we need to look at how we reimburse for insurance. And this is a good example. If you do a procedure in a doctor's office, I'm going to pick on a nuclear stress test.
Yep.
Insurance, let's say, will pay $1,700 for that. If you do it in the hospital, they'll pay $3,500.
Really?
So why? So the hospital looks like, okay, well, who can we bring in, for the testing? We'll make more money on this. And so why is there different rates for where it's done if
That's
it's
a
the
good
same
point.
procedure?
Yeah.
So it's just such a complicated system. But I think publishing the costs, the true costs, it takes all the guesswork out. And then people aren't blaming pharma. They're not blaming the doctor like, oh, you have to charge me this much. When the doctor's like, really, I get $48 for your visit. So, and I keep saying, where else would we have this weird like reimbursement? Can you imagine how much a gallon of gas would cost in your car if you had to run it through your insurance company? You'd have no idea, So we have, the state legislature, one of the things I've been pushing really strongly for is, it sounds a little hokey, but it's our school-based health clinics. They are the most efficient way to deliver medical care throughout. Your parents aren't having to take a day off from work to take their kids to the pediatrician. They do take insurance. People have this misconception they don't. I would like to see, if our school is open in the evening, that we recruit new doctors here and say, hey, why don't you work in the school-based health clinic if it's open from 4 to 8? If the school's open till 8 o'clock at night, they can see patients. And then to recruit them here, instead of paying them, we could make a payment towards their student loans that they'll have. And it's a good way for them to get experience. It's a great way to deliver healthcare. The school's open anyway, so why not make use of the clinic? I thought of that in Fitch. They have like a full clinic. And, the regular public would have access, because there's people, they can't find a doctor. They can't find a primary care doctor. So there's things that we can do that are sort of outside of the box that would help the cost of the individual not having to pay so much out of pocket. But we just have to be willing to like embrace some new ideas.
Yeah. A lot of doctors aren't taking any new patients.
Yeah, they're full.
Yep.
They just can't.
So as far as that is concerned, June says, finally an answer. I have been asking medical professionals why there are so few doctors in our area. It is nearly impossible to find one.
It is.
Not just
Yep.
medical doctors, but counselors, therapists.
Right. So we
Same
have
thing.
done, I will tell you, for counselors, we have really pushed, this isn't ideal, but it's a bridge to be able to do telehealth. So before you weren't allowed to do that. So now, especially in the Northeast, when there's a void of physicians or clinicians, you can see somebody by telehealth, so you don't have to travel. We did pass it was one of my bills out of public health to try to recruit more healthcare providers, especially in the mental health field and behavioral health. So we have a tuition reimbursement. And Connecticut has this very complicated licensing where you have to have like 3,000 hours unpaid before you can become a fully licensed clinical social worker or family practice. So we've condensed that so you can work and get paid at the same time. Because before, what was happening is we were having people that were graduating with a master's degree, but they needed these hours. And instead, they're like, I'm going to be a bartender because I can't afford to not get paid these hours to get my final license. It doesn't make sense. So we've tried to correct that. So I'm hoping that will open things up, but it's not going to be right away. It's going to take a couple years.
So we always talk about, every time you've been here, we've never had a negative comment.
Oh, really?
about
You know
it.
what? I feel like it's getting sunny out too. Look at.
However,
70.
we got,
we got
one.
Okay.
We
this
got
should be
one.
good. Okay. That's
So-
all right.
And I know you're.
I'm used to it.
But I know you
My
can.
skin is thick.
So Dave says Dave's in Hamden.
Hamden, Connecticut?
Hamden, Connecticut. Oh yeah. Oh,
Okay.
yeah. We have people all over the place.
Awesome.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. My good friend George Logan used to represent Hamden.
He said it was sad to see Heather not come to our Special Olympics sailing regatta in Stonington.
Yes, I
I-
couldn't make that. I had 4 other events that day. My good friend Beth runs that, and she had asked me to come, and I tried to stop by, but it's tough because I usually don't miss that, but I had 7 events that day. It was the 10th, I remember, of September 10th, and it was just crazy. I just, you can't be everywhere all the time, but that does not mean that I don't support Special Olympics or actually one of our good friends' son was competing in that, Caleb Cook, and I wished I could have gotten there.
I heard you
couldn't do it.
bilocate though. I heard you could be in 2 places at once.
I can. I wish I could.
Well, that's that superpower.
Oh, I need that
You know,
superpower.
that's-
But I hope Dave doesn't take offense. There's just so much bandwidth that you can do in a day. I'm going to use that word again.
Bandwidth.
Yes, and I had already committed to a bunch of different events that day, and I just couldn't. I
It's hard.
tried to
I get
stop
it.
by on my way to another event, and I just couldn't do it.
But just to stay true of what we do here, we have to make sure, I want you to.
Of course, yeah.
And then Dave says, thank you for your response. No offense taken. Dave's a jerk.
I would be happy to
He's a
come,
jerk.
and actually, I am a sailor. I would be happy to come another time. It was just
Dave, the power of positivity, Polina. Let's
yes. Well, and I
love you, baby.
obviously, I wish I could have been there. I just
Yeah.
could not.
No,
There
he's
was just
actually a
something-
friend of mine, so
You know.
so
It wasn't by choice, unfortunately.
no. I'm sure. Now he's laughing. There we go. Kathy Waslook says, good morning.
Hi, Kathy. How are you doing?
Let's see.
Her and her husband are great.
They are
They're so active. He did a great job, by the way, for the 9/11 ceremony. It's one of the nicest ones that I attend. That was another day where there was like 10 events and you can't get to all of them, and then people get offended, and it's really hard. I think sometimes people forget how big this district is. It takes me an hour to get from one end to the other.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily easy. I did make 4 events that day, but I couldn't do them all. I was able to do Griswold. I couldn't do the one in Groton. And then there was a couple other ones, and then I came up and I did Plainfield in the evening. So
Did your district get realigned?
it did not. No.
Okay, so just
No.
just Brian, and then
Yeah,
and the
it's
state
really
reps.
strange. The state reps, it's all based on population. And because our district as a whole did not necessarily lose population, my district didn't change. The state reps, they did lose population. So, and we eliminated Mike Francis' seat, and they had to rearrange everything. And that's always fun. I wanted to be on that committee, but I didn't get chosen to be on that committee on how to realign everything. So Brian, I think he lost Plainfield, but he picked up Preston, and that guy has more signs than anybody I know.
Brian?
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
I'm starting to have little nightmares about Brian Lanou signs. You know what I mean?
It's got a lot of signs.
Everywhere. I'm like, it's Brian everywhere.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
It's like Willy Wonka. You know, you have your Oompa Loompa and you get a little Brian Lanú's going.
But it shows that he has a lot of support. But I'm like, every time I drive by the road, I'm like, God, I feel like a schmuck. I've got one sign to his 40, you know?
They are everywhere.
They are. You know, the one thing I will say to try to make myself feel better, the reps have a much smaller territory. So they're able to knock on like every door because we have such, I mean, it's 100,000 people. I have to pick doors that are not necessarily in my party, that are independent or Democrats that maybe like lean Republican.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you want to go to the people that you want to go ahead and get their votes.
Right.
If you already got somebody's vote, it's like, you know, thank you very much.
I get a lawn sign though, right? I get a lawn sign, but I just like, so we try to, it's just so many doors. So, you know, sometimes it's a little depressing. I'm like, oh my God, Brian has 40 and I have 1. You know,
it's all over Preston.
Right, everywhere. Yeah.
Well, it's his first time running.
Right, and good for him. No, he works hard. He knocks a lot of doors, and you know, good for him.
If you don't answer the door, Brian just runs through it. So just so you know, Preston, Brian just right on through.
My favorite place.
Then he smiles.
He does. He's just a nice person. He really is, and he has the dedication to do those doors, and we end up knocking on different doors. So Preston is really rural and it's tough. Like the road that I was driving up, obviously it's wallpapered with Brian Lanou, which is awesome. But that road is even tough to stop to knock on the doors. Right. So I campaign at the dump. The Preston dump is amazing. Like I brought Dunkin' Donuts. I didn't bring Deviant Donuts. And I was there, early on a Saturday, and there used to be these guys that would sit there in their lawn chairs, and it was like, it reminded me sort of like the Bob Newhart show, where they knew exactly who was bringing what kind of garbage, and it should be like a comedy. It was really fun, and it was very well received. It was a lot of great people that want to come up and talk to you. But there's a few people that want to fight. I'm like, I'm not interested in fighting with you. You know, we can agree to disagree.
I mean, like fists or
no, just like
all right.
Well, I probably wouldn't do well there. You know, I'd be like, no, just they want to argue about stuff that we just don't have any control, and they want to name call. And for me, I'm like, I just don't agree with that. I don't think that's productive. I mean, I'm like, okay, we'll just agree to disagree, but sometimes that's not enough.
Gotcha.
So,
you know what I wanted to ask you? Whatever happened to Bob Statch?
I think he's running my competitor's campaign.
Yeah. Oh, really? I don't even know.
That's okay. That's okay. Most people don't. We'll just keep it that way.
Okay.
I don't know. You know, I
made Bob a waffle one day.
I heard. I was jealous. You make him waffles, and I'm bringing you Deviant Donuts. There's something wrong. Actually, I was going to bring you this one. They didn't have it today. There's a Deviant Donut waffle donut, and it has a donut with a waffle, 2 slices of bacon, and a shot glass full of maple syrup.
Wow. That's breakfast.
That's breakfast.
That's breakfast.
It's unbelievable. Anyhow, so
they're crazy. They're amazing what they do down there. Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't really.
Pop-Tart or graham cracker?
I think it's a homemade graham cracker. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, that is cool.
I mean, they're just so pretty to look at, but you do have to eat them because you know, or you could, Do you know any vegans? I want to see what a vegan.
Is that really a vegan donut?
Yes. She said, do you want me to put the vegan separately? And I said, which one is the vegan? And she said, Lucifer. I'm like, wow, that's not what I would have thought, that Lucifer is vegan. Can you imagine? Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm not going to go there because, is that organic grains that I'm going to be eating from Lucifer? I can't imagine,
I can just see Lucifer now.
There's no gluten in this.
It's organic. Delicious.
Right.
I couldn't know.
Yeah.
Victoria says, I liked the placement of Heather's sign on Route 12 in Plainfield. Someone had to reach up really high to get it placed.
Yes, you know who did that
Where
for
is
me?
this? Now, where is that?
Route 12 in Plainfield. There's a
Okay.
lady there. She has like, it's almost like the frame for signs. And the young girl who works for my campaign, her fiance, he works at EB as a rigger. So he's really not afraid to climb up. He actually climbed up there and
Really?
like drilled it up for me. He was
Oh, wow.
awesome. And
How high is it?
it's pretty high.
Dang.
Yeah, he's not afraid of heights. His name's Ronan. He's awesome. He'll climb up, and then we had there's this big tree in Stonington where near Rob Simmons. His family has a farm there, and he said you can put this big sign up. I want you to put a sign up, but you got to climb up that tree to do it. Ronan,
How is Rob doing?
Rob is sick this week. He's got a
Oh.
really bad something or other, but he's doing great.
Ever tell you my Rob Simmons story?
No, I'd love to hear it.
He this is back when I was working for Verizon,
Okay.
and he came into the store I ran, and
Was this
we talked.
Congressman, Colonel, or he's now Farmer Rob?
No, this was Congressman.
Okay.
He wasn't currently in office. He wasn't currently, so it must have been just Colonel Rob Simmons.
Okay.
But anyway, we just called him Rob.
Right.
He just came in and we're talking. He goes, I need something that's going to do international. I went, okay.
Okay.
So I set him up with an international plane. He goes, is this really going to work for me in Japan? I said, yeah. He goes, are you sure? I said, I don't know. Let me fly with you. We'll see what happens.
Take me along.
Yeah, take me
right.
with you. We'll have some
Right.
masaki and,
Right.
and
It's a work trip, right? It's like a field
Exactly.
trip, right?
a little research.
Mhm.
So he goes, all right, well, when I get there, I'm going to call you.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And I said, okay. So
Did he call you?
you betcha.
Oh my God. That's
It was 10:30 my time. I don't care. I mean, I'm up anyway.
right.
And he goes, hey, Mike, Rob Simmons. You're right. It works.
That's
That was it.
awesome.
So
That's awesome. That's
I'll never forget that conversation. It was fun. Rich Waslock says, I did Doors and Mystic when I was on the RTM.
RTM or RTC, either
No,
one.
it says RTM.
Okay.
And it was rough with some people.
Yeah, sometimes it's not always pleasant,
Yeah.
but
You
it
get
is what it
nasty
is.
people opening the door and just like
Sometimes, yes.
had
Yes,
not
you
nice
do.
things to say. I would think so.
Yeah, sometimes. Yep.
I
You know,
would
it's
think now is probably more negativity because of what's going on.
yeah. There is people want to lump everything they see on TV in Washington. I'm like, we're local.
Yeah, right.
We're trying to do what's best,
Yeah.
and we're most intimately affected by what happens in the state and local. So, we're just out there trying to
Exactly,
do our
yeah.
job. We don't have any control over what happens in Washington. It's not like I can call up and be like, hey, Joe, or hi, Nancy, or
Heather,
whatever.
what's going on?
Yeah,
Got
right.
this problem over
Right.
here
Right.
on Manicore.
Right. So, but I understand. I mean, there's a lot of anger because of just the way our world is, and they see what's happening.
Mm.
And sometimes, actually, I think we were talking about things people say, and my favorite to date has been a post that said the increase in gas prices are 100% Heather Summers' fault. And then you see all the likes. I'm like, I know those people that like that. God, if I had that power, I would use it for good. You know what I mean? But it's interesting how social media can help you try to get your message out in a positive way, and how on the dark side of what people will take something out of context and spin it, and
I'd walk up and down the
work
street
your
with a
hand.
megaphone.
Oh,
That's great.
Oh, I would. It's
Yeah.
like if you can't knock the door, I'm running for office.
Right.
See if they come. You might get 3 or 4 families at a time.
There you go.
It's like, who's
There
this
you go.
crazy guy?
Right.
out there?
So, you knock on doors, but most of the time people aren't home or they don't want to answer the door. So you end up leaving something for them. For the most part, people are either like, they're pleasant. They don't want to be bothered,
Yeah.
or, but you don't always get a nasty moment. When you do, it's, you definitely feel the sting. And then other times you're surprised because people will say, I am this, I've always voted this way, but I've had it, or I've seen what you've done and I'm totally supporting you. You can put a sign out. But I think one of the most interesting parts about doing doors when you've done them as many times as you start walking, you're like, I know this house. I know what their living room looks like. I remember that picture. And then one door I was knocking in Mystic, I pulled up to this like very neatly, this house is like perfect. And it had a 2-car garage with no cars in it. So I didn't think anybody was home because the doors were up, but the door was slightly ajar. And I knocked on the door and this lady's like, I could tell she was an older lady. She's like, come in. And I'm like, you can't let me in. I could be in here and stealing all your stuff. You don't even know who I am. And she was 95 and she was, the house it was like immaculate, and she was just going to be moving into an assisted living facility because she was alone. But you see the loneliness, you see like, I could have been a burglar and just walked right in. I'm like, you can't just let anybody in.
I'm thinking if you're 95 and somebody's at your door, why not?
I guess that's
you know what I mean.
But then,
we've made 95. I'm still
that's
here,
true.
and nobody's, so.
And she was funny. I said, I could be stealing all your stuff, and she's like, please, I don't want to have to move all my stuff. But I think of like my mother who'd be like, come on in, and like they could rob her blind, and she'd like give him coffee on the way out. You know what I mean? Like, but so you do see loneliness and isolation, which is really sad. So, and you meet a lot of interesting animals on the way.
I would think so.
Sometimes you're like, whoa, I'm not going to that door because that dog is not liking people today.
Mm-hmm.
I think Brian actually got chased by a dog
recently.
Yeah.
And
fell.
Yeah, and messed up his wrist, his arm a little bit. He was in a sling, or I think he might still be.
I haven't seen it, but I mean, so scary things can happen. You know what I mean?
I don't know if it was a German Shepherd or it wasn't a Rottie because that would have caught him. But I mean, he fell down and hurt himself.
Yeah, I mean, I could see like that could happen easily. So most of us are pretty cautious around. I always carry dog biscuits with me. It's like, hey,
Brian was the dog biscuit.
Yeah, he looks delicious. So, so sometimes, things can happen. So doing doors is an interesting sort of insight into human nature.
Yeah. I don't know if I could do that part of the job.
Yeah, you know what? You got to like psych yourself out to get out there, and then once you get out there, it's kind of fun.
I mean, as gregarious as I can be and stuff, and outgoing, I don't know if I could do.
You can't help but, I mean, I always feel like I'm intruding. And sometimes people will make it known that you are, and other times. But I'm never pushy at the door. There's some people doing tours that I've been with where the person's like, okay, enough. And they're like, well, just one more thing. I'm like, yeah, no, you should have taken the hint. Like, so we had, my daughter had somebody knock on her door, over in Waterford, and, the person knocked on the door and said, hi, I'm so-and-so, I'm running for office. And my daughter was like, okay, thanks. I'm not interested, blah, blah, blah. And she said, I'm having people over for dinner right now, so I can't talk. And the person's like, well, can I come in and meet them? And she's like, no, so, everybody has their own style. That would not be mine. Yeah. So it's kind of fun, but it is fun to meet people and see people. And you never know what to do when you knock on the door and they're like, I know who you are. And that's all you get. I'm like, okay, well.
I could see somebody like, here, would you like a glass of wine? Sure. By the 7th house, they'll be like, hi, I'm Mike. Can you vote for me? So, Heather, we're about ready to call it a day. But one thing I would like you to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to position the camera on you, and I'm going to step off.
Okay.
Paul's going to step off.
Uh-oh.
And
going to do the weather?
Huh?
Am I going to do the weather?
Yeah. Oh, Heather, the weather girl. Oh, my God. We haven't done that.
Done that in a long time.
Oh. But just talk your platform and what it is, what you have done, what you're going to do, and that kind of stuff.
Sure.
You know it. So hold on. Let me get the camera here.
Uh-oh.
No, it's good. Let's have you move just that way a little bit.
I'll move out of the way.
Yeah. There we go. And there you go. And I give you Senator Heather Summers.
Well, good morning, everyone. This is Senator Heather Summers here at SNSN Radio in Griswold, downtown Griswold, 70 Main Street now.
Yep.
I am here I wasn't expecting to do this, but it has been an honor to represent you for the last 6 years in Hartford. I am hoping that my record shows that I am somebody who has a common sense approach to the issues that we face here in the state of Connecticut, that looks at both sides of the equation before making a decision, that listens to the input of the residents of my districts before casting a vote, and that I am not beholden to either party. I'm trying to do what's right for the citizens of the district. I think it's important to look at my record. It's a record of challenging the status quo that you see in Hartford and delivering results for the district. Up north, we've been able to make sure that your school is well funded. I work closely with your superintendent. We have been able to get money for the repair of the dam. We've done a lot of work in Patchogue State Forest, as you're well aware of. We also were able to get funding for your senior center that I hope will open shortly. And I've worked closely with the former selectman and the current select woman to try to make sure that your needs are addressed here in the state of Connecticut. I've worked with many of you individually on constituent issues, whether it's finding a clinician for a loved one or a child who's in need, working to make sure that affordability is something that is unfortunately out of reach for many of us here in the state of Connecticut. So I am determined to help reduce costs here in the state of Connecticut by looking at rolling back some of the oppressive taxation that we have seen from the majority party over the last 40 years. I am someone who is available to help if you have a difficult situation, whether it's through taxes or veteran issues. I try to make myself available in the district as much as possible. If you email me, I will get back to you. And I'm hoping that if you take a look at my record at heathersummers.com, you can see all of the different things that we've been able to accomplish over the last 6 years. And I am humbled to be able to represent this district. I think that in Hartford, they know about this district a lot more than they did 6 years ago. And now that I am becoming, quote, a senior senator, we will be able to do even more in the coming years. So I'm humbly asking for your support. Tuesday, November 8th, I will be up here throughout the day saying hello. And I have also been endorsed by the Independent Party of Connecticut. So I am on the Republican line, on the independent line. I'm sort of an outlier. I have the endorsement of the Fraternal Order of Police, of the Stonington Police Union. I also have the endorsement of the Connecticut State Building Trade Unions and others. So not the endorsements that you normally get. I have endorsements on both sides of the aisle. So I think that showcases that I'm an independent thinker and somebody who is approaches problems with practical solutions. And again, I humbly ask for your vote November 8th. And if you have questions, you can email me. My email is right on the website, so heathersummers.com. Thank you.
Alrighty, Heather, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And thank you for the gifts. You're always very generous. You always bring, whether it's donuts or coffee. I mean, today it's deviant donuts and eggs.
She brings eggs.
we have fresh eggs and vegan donuts.
They probably
the eggs
are.
or the donuts?
Oh, they probably are. Right. Yeah, I know. We're like eggs. And then so I'm on the way out the door, and my granddaughter's like, "You want a sticker?" So I'm like, "Okay, put a sticker on." She did pretty well on the stickers.
Oh, she put the stickers on.
Yes.
Very nice.
There's stickers all over the place. I come home and she's got Heather Summer stickers everywhere. It's fun, So she's 2. 2.5, almost 3. Stevie. Grace is the daughter.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, everyone asked me, "You have a granddaughter named Stevie?" I'm like, I asked the same question and I got yelled at. So
Stevie Nicks?
Like for Stevie Nicks.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah.
So yeah, I remember saying, "Is it Stephanie?" And my daughter's like, "It's Stevie." So I'm like, okay, whatever. But she's a lot of fun and clearly loves stickers. They're everywhere.
Good.
So thanks a lot for having me.
Thank
and
you for coming by,
I'd love
as
to come back
always.
again.
Yeah, we'll definitely love to have you back before.
Yeah, let's come back before November 8th. And then if anybody has any questions, we can answer them. Maybe we'll have a senior center opening before then.
That would be nice.
It's coming
Let's
up
hope.
quick.
Let's hope.
I know they have to be in there before Thanksgiving. This is like, we can't go through winter.
They got to be in there before Labor Day. Oh, wait, we've been saying that.
That's what we thought.
Bueller. I don't know.
All
Heather,
right. Have
thank
a great
you very
one.
much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, Senator Heather Summers, we appreciate you coming by. Paul, thanks, brother. All right, we will see everybody once again.
Oh, can I do one merciless plug?
Yeah, go.
October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and 1 in 8 women in the state of Connecticut will be diagnosed with breast cancer. So please make your appointment for a mammogram to make sure you get that test. We've made it so that mammograms are at no cost to women in the state of Connecticut. And you can call and make an appointment directly, I think at maybe at Hartford Hospital, but I know at L&M Hospital you can do that. So we have a very high rate of breast cancer in the state of Connecticut. We're not sure if that's because we do such a great job of screening, because so many people get tested,
Right.
but the earlier the detection, the better chance of survival. So please make sure you tell your wife or your spouse or your loved one, all your female friends, just get the test. Thanks.
All right. Senator Heather Summers running for her 4th term in District 18, 18th District in the Connecticut State Senate. So we will see you once again Monday. Have a good weekend. Tonight we have Griswold High School